So today is my last day of 45, and it has been such a wild year. Like, I started 45 working towards what I thought were like my hopes and dreams and everything I wanted. And then on June 1st, everything changed for me. And I wanted to start showing up for you guys more often. So we're going to spend time here together every day. I'm going to share more about my life and my stories and my journey and healing through burnout and understanding how to be my own best friend. And we're also going to learn about some tips and tricks and just kind of share this life together. And so tomorrow is my 46th birthday, and I wanted to take a few minutes to reflect on 45, the journey that got me here, and I'm so excited for what's ahead. So let's jump in. It was June 1st, and I was really struggling. I had been suffering from burnout for probably a really long time, and I didn't know it. And I had a somatic release. And basically, what that means is my body released a whole bunch of trauma. And I had these crazy dreams, and everything just kind of shifted. And what I mean by that is like my perspective on life changed. So before, I was super goal oriented. For example, I was working towards an exit. So I had worked my way up the corporate ladder, had a startup that failed. It was in my second startup. And when you're in the startup world, like what matters is an exit, right? And so that basically allows you to unlock this crazy world of anything you want to do in the future. From the time I was a little girl, I knew that I wanted to be a business person. One of my favorite movies was Baby Boom. And I loved in Pretty Woman how the guy bought companies and broke them up. And I really thought like optimization of business was really so interesting to me. And I was really just focused on achievement. Took me a long time to realize that that focus on achievement was actually because I had no self-worth. I was probably one of the most self-confident people you'll ever meet, but I had no self-worth. And what that means is that I only thought I had as much value as what I could produce or provide. Well, when you get caught in that loop of you're only worth what you can produce or provide, it's really hard on you as a person because you feel like you're constantly having to perform. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a hard worker. I've always been a hard worker. I love to create, I love to work, I love to solve complex problems, I love to build relationships, but that is not where my worth lies. And so, in the process of this journey and this somatic release, where my body started remembering who I was before I thought I was only worth what I could produce or provide, I started really refocusing on what mattered to me. I travel a lot for my job. In fact, I travel probably 90% of the time. And so I was sitting in a hotel room in Sacramento, California, and I remembered something that had happened years before in counseling when I was married. And the question was, what does your heart look like? And so I started mapping some of the big important pieces of my life. I now call them waypoints. So think of them as the things that if you were in a conversation with somebody you were getting to know, what's the highlight reel of your life? Typically, these moments are the good, the hard, and the aha moments. And when I say good, it doesn't necessarily mean joy, but they're memories that you remember fondly. Hard, it's not always bad. Some things can be really hard and be good, but they're hard, right? And sometimes hard is bad. And then sometimes the aha moments are the moments where you have this clarity. And typically, when you have these moments of clarity, you have a choice. Do you go back to the old way or do you move forward with the new way? And so, as I mapped these waypoints, I started to realize that all the things that I thought brought me joy didn't. And so when you think about joy, like what is that feeling that builds inside you? Joy is a feeling in your body. It's not necessarily a thought in your mind. At least that is for me. And so I realized the things that brought me joy were adventure. Think unscheduled days on a Saturday when you just happen to go gallivanting and do whatever or seeing things you've never seen before. Wonder, think fireflies and rainbows and just the beauty of nature, and genuine human connection. And that one really shocked me because I'm an introvert. And what I've learned about myself in the past 6 months in this journey I've been on is that I'm an introvert because I definitely recharge alone and I recharge on the inside, but I love and crave genuine human connection. Small talk makes you want to die. Don't ask me about the weather unless you actually want to talk about the weather, in which case I'm down. But like, I want to actually get to know people and I want to get to understand who they are and what makes them tick. So I started mapping my waypoints. And then I started asking people about theirs. And I started asking people about the stories that made up the fabric of who they are. And I realized everybody has a story. And I know we know that in our intellectual mind, but when we connect human to human and we realize that we're more alike than we are different, it kind of like shifted something inside of me. In the midst of all of this, I was still very much suffering from burnout. And the way I would describe my burnout is like I was achieving the things better and bigger, faster than I had ever achieved them, but I was very much dead inside. It was black and dark. There was no joy. There was no sparks of light. There was no wanting to get up in the morning. It was everything was just pushing a boulder uphill alone. And I wasn't the best version of myself. And what I've learned now is that I was so far disconnected from me. I was only working on the task at hand and only working for whatever that goal was, that I had lost me completely in the process. And so, as we talk about our time together, think about two pillars and one mission, right? So, pillar one is art of heart, and it's all the things that have to do with how we feel, giving common language to how we feel in any given moment. Because I've had a hard day is different when they messed up your coffee order, you have back to back calls, and you stubbed your toe versus it's the 1 year anniversary of your dad passing and you still feel scrambled and lost. So, those things are different. It's a way for us to connect more genuinely with each other and with ourselves. We're not really honest about how we feel most of the time. We just say we're fine. And well, that was kind of the pivotal point in my life that I realized I was the queen of fine and everything was less than fine. Then think about lead with heart. And lead with heart is me having a process and procedure for mindfulness. So I'm very much a process and procedure girl. I can fix anything with a process, a tool, a fix, whatever. And so when I was thinking about how to fix myself, the first thing I had to do is every day check in with myself. So I created something, the heart check. I healed so fast from burnout by putting a process to my mindfulness, which probably seems backwards for those who just mindfulness just works for them. It didn't just work for me. It's not how my brain worked. So I created the heart check. The heart check is, how is my battery today? And when you think about your battery, you always check your phone before you leave the house to see if you have enough energy to get through the day or enough charge, but we don't do that for ourselves. The next one is emotion. Pick an emotion word. So for instance, if you're 80% optimistic, it's different from if you're 80% scared. Or if you're 20% overwhelmed, it's different from 20% exhausted. And so picking those emotion words to help connect with your battery number is so, so, so important. The next thing is alignment. What do you need to align in your day to better represent how you're showing up today? Not every day can be back-to-back calls or all these meetings. We tend to think that everything's an emergency or a fire. And the truth is, it's not. A lot of times we cram things in because that's what we think we're supposed to do. So, how can you create alignment in your day to better align with how you're showing up today? For example, if you're really tired and you're having a really hard day and your brain is foggy, what can you move to later on in the week? Because it doesn't have to be done right now. The next is relationship. Who needs a touch point? Is it you? Is it someone else? How are you showing up today? And your relationships completely go hand in hand. And the last is T for tether. And tethering is something that really impacted how I go throughout the day. Tethers are things that you do to find your way back to yourself. For some people, it's meditation. For some people, it's praise and worship. For some people, it's breathing or yoga or going for a walk or going fishing or taking a moment to journal. There are a million ways to tether. And I'm not here to tell you what tethering is going to work for you. I'm here to tell you that you have to do it. This is your permission to take 10 minutes to do something for yourself today. Self-care is not a face mask. Yes, it's great and my skin looks fantastic because of it. But you need to find a way to reconnect and remember who you are. So on this journey together, we're going to talk a lot about art of heart and we're going to talk about lead with heart. And the idea is that all of this is to help you show up as the best version of yourself. I don't know what version that is, only you do. Part of my journey is understanding that I wasn't broken. There was nothing wrong with me. I had just forgotten who I was, what made me happy, and how I wanted to show up in the world. All of these things take intention. You have to intentionally want to look on the inside. You have to intentionally want to know how you want to show up. And a lot of times the busyness of life and expectations of roles make everything so muddy. If you're a parent, absolutely you prioritize taking care of your kids, but if you don't have anything left to give, are you giving them what they deserve? when we talk about life and work. And, I love being an entrepreneur. I love work. I love to achieve, but it does not bring me joy. And so understanding that has been really key to my journey. And this intentionality and this mindfulness and whatever word we want to attach to it is so critical. We only get one shot. There is no do over, there's no reset button for this life and this meat suit and this universe and this reality. There is one. And what happens after this, I don't know. I have all kinds of theories and thoughts on what happens to our energy. But in this body, I only have one shot. And I don't want to waste any more days not being the best version of myself. It's not about perfection. It's not about getting it perfect every time. In fact, it's about trying a whole bunch of things to figuring out what is the best version of yourself. We have to be our own best friend. You know, you think about how you would treat your best friend and the things you would do for them to make their life easier or to make sure they had what they wanted or to bring them a little light and love. We don't do that for ourselves because somewhere along the line, somebody told us that that was selfish, and that's not true. There are things that are selfish, but taking care of yourself is not one of them. So, on this journey that we're going to be on together, we're going to talk about our hearts. We're going to talk about how we feel. I'm going to share stories of people that I meet along the way. I do have a podcast and I can't wait for you guys to listen to it, or people come and share the good, the hard, and the aha moments that make up the fabric of their human experience. And I do feel like when someone shares their story of these raw, vulnerable moments, sometimes it creates that spark, that aha moment that you see yourself in a part of their story, or you better understand someone else. And hopefully, you're curious about your own life. So, welcome. This is MC Speaks. I'm Marissa Campbell, and we're going to have an incredible journey together. So, every day we're going to be here on YouTube. I've got content on Instagram. I've got the book Lead with Heart. If you are a business person or anybody and you're having a hard time with burnout, come along and I'm going to teach you some tricks on how to be your own best friend. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and let's go.